We've begun a partnership program with an institute called CASA, which is based in Oaxaca in Mexico. And we're running an exchange, which we've begun. So Nicola Beeling, who's one of our artist studio holders, went in March 2020 and got back just in time before we were locked down, and spent a month in Mexico. And then we had a returning artist last year, and we're planning to send another studio artist in winter this year and have a returning artist again. And in order to facilitate that, we have adapted one of the studios so it's possible in a very low-key way to actually live in there for a month. It's got a sofa bed and we've got a little shower room and a sort of kitchenette. And then we do kind of residencies which are non-residential residencies where an artist might hire the project space for a month, or there might be project funding for them to come and do something, but that tends not to be us funding it as a residency space. We also run residencies in partnership with Falmouth University, where their students or graduates come and use the space, and with Dartington have used the space in that way as well. But there is of course an ecosystem within a building like this where we're talking to one another and it's supportive, and we're bringing interesting people into the building which benefits studio holders and they have interesting conversations. And the rationale behind our evening programme is that it creates a sort of social space as well. It brings together the arts community and other communities, and we all sit on long tables and have conversation, and then there's Q&A time. And we have run work placements and paid internships as well, so there's mentorship going on in that sense.
We don't in-house because we're too small here, but we do artists in residence outside into 5 local primary schools, and that partnership is strong. For example, in October we did a few schools for Black History Month, and we developed a package that we could go and deliver in schools as an artist in residency thing, because schools haven't got the capacity or time, so sometimes they're happy to buy that in. So I've just put in some funding for a proper mentoring scheme, so that my staff know, and we got it actually, it's a pocket of money, but it'll help get more funding, so that we can allocate that true time from the heart to spend with people who need a one-on-one, careers advice, well-being advice, you know, all of that. Whereas if you're trying to lock it on in this kind of mentoring, we're here for everyone, on top of everything else going on, I think there's a slight insincerity, or myself, I will give people time, but inside I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got that funding bid to get in, and you know, that doesn't work.
So we've got currently 3 residency and short-term studios, 2 here at Porthmere, and then we've got another one, our other site in Newland, just on the other side of the coast, called Anchor Studio, and that's our only live-work studio, which means it's got studio space and then accommodation attached as well. And the Artist in Residency programme, there's a number of different programmes. So we have our own established artist residency, which has seen artists such as Labena Himid, Richard Long, like Mike Nelson, come through our doors. And then we work with a number of different partners. So we work with the Wilhelmina Barnes-Graham Trust. So Wilhelmina Barnes-Graham was a Scottish artist, but she had a studio here at Porthmere, and so we now work with the trust that was set up in her name, that funds 3-month residency with us for emerging artists. We also currently work with the Freelands Foundation to provide another annual residencies for artists. We work with Tate, so artists will come spend time in our studios working towards a new commission, which is at the Tate St Ives. Work with Falmouth University. I mean, it's a really incredible, extensive list actually of different partnerships.
Before the renovation, they were all kind of almost studios for life. And after the renovation, we decided we'll keep 3 studios back here for short lets. And so once you got short, because once someone's got a studio here, you don't normally give it up easily. There's not many studios available in St Ives. So the short lets gives people, local people and people from outside Cornwall the opportunity to come down for short periods, and we're able to use those spaces for the residency scheme. For me it's really nice because it kind of breaks up the a small group of artists together for a long time. They start having their own sort of friendship groups or something, and just having different people coming in, kind of it breaks up that rigidity.
To have a long-term studio here, you need to live in Cornwall. It's one of the kind of few requirements, but through the residency scheme it means that we can bring artists, obviously from Cornwall, but also from all over the world, which is really amazing.
The staff team don't do any mentoring, but just in terms of artist mentoring, I mean, we do try to work with Tate and also Newlyn, and we've invited their curators to kind of come in and do studio visits.
We'd seen spaces all over Europe with the live spaces, and you'd see a bed in the corner of a studio, and we'd come back and we'd start working project, can we have a bed in there? And the architects and the health and safety go, no, we can't do that. And you're just like, oh my God, why not? It's easy, of course we can, but no, we can't. But now we can, because the nuns used to sleep there, so it's okay. I think there are about 6, 7 rooms, maybe 8 rooms up there, but we focus on those as the residency spaces and places for artists who need spaces and have come and stayed with us. Some have come for a week and have stayed 6 months or longer. For the last 3 years, we've been running a summer school, and that's been focused on the neighbourhood, and it's been fantastic. There's been sort of 20, 25, 30 kids who come for a week and hang out with us from the local community. Just as an example, we have a relationship we've built into our 2nd year working with Platform Asia, Treasure Hill Artist Village in Taipei in Taiwan. So we've just selected our 2nd artist to do that, to go over there, and he's going over for 6-8 weeks. And then in February we will have an artist coming from Taiwan over here for same 6-8 weeks, and they'll be resident in Convention House. And we're also just developing one with an artist studio provider in Helsinki, and the call out's just gone out there for them to do a call out for an artist who will come and spend, again, 6 weeks with us. I think it's 6 weeks with us here. Part of our advising other arts organisations and going and being involved and waffling, there's Our Big Picture over in Grimsby, who are really interesting actually. Paula Denton, who runs that over there, took on a very small building, but they had a tiny flat in it. And they said they were going to convert it into studios. No, don't keep it as a tiny little flat bedsit. It's got room for, I think they can now sleep maybe 4 people in there. Little kitchen, little bathroom, kitchen kind of eating area, bathroom. Yeah, that's what you need. The fund for the Helsinki, the Finnish ones, is funded from their side, and that's what we'll always look for, especially now we're out of Europe. If we try to pay an artist to come here, we get into all sorts of complications. But if an artist is paid by their within their local country to come here, it's not a problem.
While we don't have anything operating at the moment, we did previously have a sort of mentorship program. It was a little bit short-lived over here, but it's something I think could be reinvigorated. But that would be a case of giving an artist or a recent graduate, for instance, access to the membership on a pretty much no-cost basis in return for running workshops and being sort of a point of contact for members of the studio. I think extra resources like that are super valuable, particularly for incubating this kind of community learning sort of experience. The artist in residence schemes, while we don't have anything in progress, there is demand for it. So I think I'm sort of working on an idea where we can get an artist in residence, again, pretty much getting a membership allowance, but then developing a body of work and then perhaps leading to an exhibition. I mean, we already do our markets once a year. We're lucky enough to have these amazing spaces, so we could easily be doing an exhibition of someone's work and having private views and continuing to sort of bridge that gap between like a craft-based and a fine art practice and everything in between. I mean, we have guest potters who come in to teach classes occasionally, and we could very easily be turning that into larger community events.
Until now, we ran 3 main residencies. The SOUP residency that was opened in 2014, and that is specifically directed onto early career artists, and from last year we also opened up to mid-career artists, and that usually supports around 6 artists per year, where we pay them for 2 months of their time, working 1 day a week. We give them studio space full time. We allow them networking opportunities with community organizations. So we provide them opportunities to deliver workshops, artist talks, and obviously we show their work. So in SOUP residency, they usually, emerging artists, early career artists, they get 3 group exhibitions with Digbeth First Friday private views, so quite a large amount of people see those developing works. And then each of the early career artists get an opportunity to do a solo show, which is usually their first solo show, and we usually collaborate on that with a space in Wolverhampton, so to give them an opportunity to outreach to a different kind of area and different audience. And then mid-career artists usually work on alongside early career artists and mentor them, delivering sessions about their professional practice and professional careers, and they get a solo show each. Then we have a spot residency, which kind of stemmed from developing the VR gallery. Spot residency is directed onto global majority artists from global majority backgrounds, underrepresented communities, and we had a plethora of artists coming through that residency, starting from sculptors to performance, and seeing how they can approach their practices through the means of virtual reality and how that translates their practice. We had Shore residency that started in 2019, and that was focused on international collaborations. And every year we would go to a different country and we would have a residency exchange with a different country, with an artist-run space from a different country. And that has started from, we went to Quebec, we worked with Icon Gallery on a project, and we all went to Quebec for Quebec Biennale, worked with the Medusa cooperative organization there and kind of seen what they're doing, and we really wanted to continue that, so we went since then to Berlin and different countries to work with people. But for when our residency was unsuccessful, funding was unsuccessful, the previous application, we've taken the Shore residency out, because we felt that since we've developed this space, Shore was not bringing enough value to what we were doing, or not bringing enough learning opportunities, and it was quite hard to manage international exchanges, people coming here, we are going there. So we opened the Mothership residency that also had not only Arts Council funding, but funding from elsewhere, so we could put in our Arts Council bid, we put we could put much funding from other organizations, which then makes your application stronger. So at the moment we and we have graduate window residency. So those 3 were in Digbeth, and then Mothership residency will be here, and the graduate window residency is in here as well. And that's a residency where we select 4 artists, 4 MA graduates per year. We go to the graduate show, we leave them on all the works that we like, we leave little invitations to for them to put a proposal for the window residency, and then we have them exhibiting in our window for 3 months, each artist, because that gives them a major exposure, because that's a front-facing window, and that's an Arts Council funded residency.
It sort of started out, there's a fish factory arts place in Iceland, and we kind of linked up with them because I think Rose was trying to get a domain name, and then she was like, who are these people? But we made contact with them, and they came over and stayed here for a bit, and then we went to Iceland and stayed there. That was 8 years ago, so I think we've been here for 7 years in this building. And then I started just once we got somewhere for people to stay. Actually, the first few people were staying at my house, and we had someone that very generously had a Airbnb that was letting people stay for free. And we've still got a friend of the arts who does have an Airbnb in their house, and they, for our artists in residence, they do a really nice discounted rate for them. And really, I did some research into other residency programs, and I'd been on a couple myself, or maybe one at that point, and put some adverts in Res Arts, Curator Space, a variety of places, some of which and on our form, it's like, how did you hear about it? And I'm just like, I have no idea where that came from. I think our first person was from Canada, and then our second person was from New Zealand. And to me, that's just bonkers, because we had very little web presence, very little, our social media was like not very big, but it was just like, I think at that time as well, we still have to charge a fee. That's whenever we do funding applications, that's one of the things we put in, that we'd like to be able to offer these things for free. We'd like to be able to pay a curator to come and, target certain, curate. Like, for example, every year we try and do stuff for Black History Month or International Women's Day, and everyone that works here is white. So we would love to be able to pay someone who isn't white to curate something like that. So that's the same with the residency program. We'd love to be able to pay artists to come here rather than artists have to pay to come here. But it's worked really well. Most people come for a month, and if they come for a month, they get a free week in the gallery as well. Sometimes people who've come for 2 weeks choose to show in the gallery at that time, and then we have been charging like an extra 150 quid for that, but because of gallery spaces and lack of bookings, we've just been letting people have it for free recently. So yeah, we've had people from all over the place, and we've had people who've gone back and recommended us. So quite often I'm like, how did you hear about us? Who told you about us? If it's not on, it's not on a website. So yeah, it's a mystery a lot of the time, but yeah, it's obviously out there. I think one of the things that we really underestimated was the fact that we're in Cornwall, because when our first artist came here, she was just like, why didn't you show how beautiful it is here? Why didn't you have photos to show what it's like here? Because obviously people from the UK kind of have an idea of what Cornwall's like, but people from overseas really don't necessarily. And yeah, we really forget. It's like, yeah, there's beaches and, moorland and rocks, and Penryn's a really cute little town and things like that. So having to sort of sometimes extract ourselves from what is our like daily normal, and try and see it as what someone coming from elsewhere. I mean, that does have a little bit of there's an edge to that, a little bit of a problem to that, is that how do we make sure that people applying to residencies don't just want a cheap way of having a holiday in Cornwall. We've definitely had 2 people that's been the case. But they were only here for a short period of time. It's very variable. So we've had some people that come here with a really well-devised plan. They've already made links with people. We had one artist who came from South Korea. She'd already made links with people. She basically worked in the residency room, which is our accommodation, for the 4 weeks, and then she had an amazing exhibition. So we have people like that, and then we have people that are like Sasha, who's here at the moment. She's a composer. She's really been able to go out, meet people. She's just kind of like, we've given her some links to people. She's contacted them. She's gone out. She's gone to open mic nights and just made connections with people. I think a bit of that is being American and not being British. So it's just like having the balls to do things like that. But then there are people that will introduce to other people. We don't have, I mean, I really like the idea of doing more mentoring, but just we don't have the capacity in terms of time and physically. I think in the past we've had more capacity for that. I don't drive, so if we have gone, when Rose was here and she drove, so we have gone out with artists and just like, you know, gone down and seen a stone circle or something like that. One time we went all the way to the Witchcraft Museum, which is almost in Devon. But yeah, so we do try and take people around to other galleries and things like that if there's events on, but it's really time limited, because as well as spending time with those artists, it's if, you know, you do that, then you've got to still fit the rest of the job in somehow. When people fill in our application form, we ask them why they want to come and what they're planning on doing, but we 100% don't hold them to that. So if someone comes and ends up like not doing anything for 4 weeks, that's absolutely fine. But we do have people that kind of come thinking they're going to do one thing and end up doing something completely different. And I think from my own experience, I did a month-long residency last year and thought I was going to be doing printmaking, and I ended up doing writing. And it's the same thing happens here. So that's okay. Yeah. And I think as well, we've had people that have used the gallery as kind of a developmental space to see their work. Our last artist, Edwina, she was from the Netherlands, and she kind of was able to get all the work that she'd done while she was here, and she'd collected different objects and things, get it all out on the wall, and that was the first time she could really almost see what she'd been doing and see a sort of a thread through it all, and I think that really helps.